Hi, everybody. So today's Wednesday, yesterday, Tuesday, September 1st, class met, and I forgot to record the class session. I'm not too worried about it because, as an introductory meeting, a lot of our time was spent on sort of course logistics and administrative things. But I did want to follow up and let you know what we talked about, and then I pledge that I'll do better on recording classes. I'm usually pretty good about it. So what you're looking at is our course homepage. And basically what we did was we chatted a bit about the layout of the course. So if you've already watched the welcome video where I, walk through some features of the course, then you know what the layout is. What we did, though, more specifically, was spend a little bit of time talking about the way that the way that we'll spend our class time, and everybody agreed that what they would like to do, since we're a fairly small group, and there are people who can't meet or don't want to meet and would prefer to watch videos, is that if we all meet on Tuesdays, the folks who can and want to meet on Tuesdays, instead of dividing up into smaller groups, we're a small enough group as a whole to just have the one group session. And then what we'll do is we'll start each week with questions, problems, confusions, see how the work on the textbook is going, how practice is going, more specifically, both practicing skills and practicing thinking about and using the concepts. Excuse me. And then we talked about the way that the quizzes work, the way that discussions work, and the way that exams work. Specifically with respect to quizzes, we talked about the fact that quizzes are open for unlimited attempts within a window. So until the quiz closes, you can go into it as many times as you want to work on it. And the good news about that is that it encourages you to keep practicing, so that if something goes wrong, you can take the quiz again, and before you take the quiz again, talk to me, talk to our course embedded tutor Lindsay, talk to classmates, talk to I already said talk to me, so that you can sort of figure out what's gone on and then adjust accordingly. And then once the quiz closes, then there's a window where you can see the answers. So it's really important for you to keep practicing, and this encourages you to do that. The exams, on the other hand, are one-shot deals, and what is meant by that is when you write an exam, you have one opportunity to write the exam, and then when you're done, then that opportunity is closed. That said, what I will do, I haven't done it yet, but what I will do is create retests, one for each exam, so that you have another opportunity to write an exam covering the same material, and the skill sets and so forth, and then I'll take your best score. So so that will be another way for you to to keep working on material. And then discussion forums are opportunities for us to talk about specific concepts or skills with the group in written form. So some people like to talk in real time, or talk let's say via email or whatever else about the course material, specific issues that you might be having and so forth. The discussions are a way for us to talk about one topic together. I recognize that not everybody wants to pipe up. Not everybody can meet to pipe up. So discussion forums are a nice way for us to, in a thoughtful, relaxed way, if you will, relaxed in terms of there not being lots of time pressure, to work on the material, to work on concepts more specifically. So we talked about the exam, and the discussions and the quizzes in our class time, right? And then we spent some time on the course itself, on the textbook itself. So as a reminder, The textbook is free. If you want to know more about that, let me know if you haven't done it already. You enter a code to get the textbook free. So what you'll want to do is click on the link for the Logic Course Adventure, scroll on down to find your class's textbook. And again, this what I'm talking about now is something I talked about in the welcome video, but it's also what we talked about in class yesterday. Then click on the Pierce College icon, and then you're going to look for the textbook the link for our section, right? So Dr. Gillis has got a couple sections of logic. What you want to do is purchase the one for ours. I think I'm already logged in, so I'll have to log out to show you. Yeah, let me log out. So I have to log out to show you at least one of the next steps. But again, you definitely want to connect with me so I can tell you how you get the textbook for free, right? So it says that it's $8.99. You're welcome to pay $8.99 if you want to, but regardless of whether or not you want the textbook free, click on Purchase Textbook, and then when you get to that point, you'll have the code to enter. Okay. And there are some other items that I mentioned about the process that are in that original video. So now, in terms of substance, here's what we talked about. So I'm just going to click on the home page, and I'm going to click on See Chapter 1, because what we did was we chatted a little bit about the first chapter, which contains a number of sections. For our purposes yesterday, the focus was on chapter 1, section 4, but we actually got to that by way of beginning with chapter 1, section 1. And so what we did was we worked through together this exercise. So, the textbook is interactive, which is to say that you read a bit and you work on an exercise, and you read a bit more and you work on an exercise. And there are really good reasons for learning logic this way. You can look at those reasons on your own. Dr. Schnee, who wrote the textbook, gives us the evidence for believing that that's a good idea. So if you have any questions about that, though, let me know. But anyway, so we worked through this exercise, which got us, by way of our interactions, it got us to the concept of entailment. So here's an overview of the way that we produced a discussion of entailment. And then what we'll pick up with next week is the leftovers from chapter 1 that we didn't get to, and then we'll move on to our next chapters. But again, let me just briefly review the concepts that we talked about yesterday in relation to entailment. Okay, so to get to the central concept for yesterday's discussion, we want to lay out a few terms. So first, let's talk about what an argument is. An argument is a set of statements, one of which is supported by the other or others. Oops, I put a comma there and I shouldn't have. One of which is supported by the other or others. So here's now a question for us. What is a statement? Well, a statement is a particular sort of sentence. And for our purposes, we'll use statement, sentence, and proposition interchangeably. But in any event, we have the following. A statement is a sentence that is true or false, right? So arguments are not constituted by questions and, let's say, commands, right? So how are you today is not going to be a candidate for an argument. A rhetorical question, if you reformulate it, is fine, but in order to have an argument, you need to have a sentence that is true or false, a sentence that has what's known as a truth value. And then we talk about the support and the supporting elements. So the premise or premises, and I'll just use the plural for now, are the following: the statements that provide evidence for or reasons to believe the conclusion is true, or to believe the conclusion. So now what is the conclusion? The conclusion is the statement inferred from the premise or premises. So there is a what's known as an inferential flow between premises and conclusion. And one way that we got at that, which also got us to the concept of validity, also known as entailment, it was a YouTube, or sorry, a commercial that is on YouTube, and so I encourage you to take a look at it. Short story is this. I'm going to jump down here just a minute. It's the California cheese commercial, where you've got the happy cows, right? And the argument, or so at the end of the commercial, you have the following two assertions: great cheese comes from happy cows. Happy cows come from California. And then the commercial ends, and you're thinking, oh, great commercial. No, what you're thinking is, what your mind does is it draws the inference. So let me draw a line that is going to demarcate a line that demarcates the evidence, the premises, from the inference that we make to the conclusion. Sometimes the conclusion is also called the inference, but the process is inferential, if that makes sense. So the conclusion, you don't need me to tell you what the conclusion is, but I will anyway. The conclusion is, so great cheese comes from California, right? So the reason why we draw the inference is because of the fact that the two premises give us enough information to draw the conclusion, right? So think about it this way. If it's true that great cheese comes from happy cows and happy cows come from California, then it must also be true that, therefore, great cheese comes from California, right? So this is an example of a valid argument. An argument is valid when it is impossible for the conclusion to be false if the premises are true. Another way to put it is this: you can't reject the premises if you accept I just said you can't reject the premises. You can't reject the conclusion if you've accepted the premises, right? So we just say, typically, for the sake of argument, let's say that great cheese comes from happy cows and happy cows come from California, right? So when we say, for the sake of argument, that these two sentences are true, we can't reject the conclusion, right? On the other hand, an invalid argument is one in which the premises do not guarantee the conclusion. Okay, we'll look at an example in just a moment. Another way to talk about invalidity is to say that it's possible for the conclusion to be false even though we say the premises are true. Okay, so when we're talking about validity, we're also talking about logical correctness and entailment. We say that an argument is valid because the premises entail the conclusion. That's not the case with an invalid argument, right? So here's an example of an invalid argument. All dogs are animals. All dogs are canines. So all animals are canines. And we can say easily, oh, okay, I know this sentence is actually true. This sentence is actually true. but this sentence is false, right? So one way to show or demonstrate that an argument is invalid is to produce a counterexample. So just because it's true that all dogs are animals and all dogs are canines doesn't yield thereby the statement all animals are canines. Okay. So if you find yourself feeling like you're playing a bit of mental twister, you're not alone. This is perfectly normal and natural. It's like puberty. It kind of sucks, but we get used to it. But also, once the concepts click for us, I'm going to highlight this so that we're not confusing ourselves, right? Valid argument here, invalid argument is going to be this. Anyway, so once it clicks, it will make sense, but it might not make sense for a little while. Hence the reason why practice is so important. Okay, so what we're going to study in this course, among other things, but really I'll say the core of our study is the study of techniques for demonstrating that a conclusion follows validly from the premise or premises. We'll also look at the logical structure of individual sentences. So in a nutshell, that's what we talked about on Tuesday. And then, we're spending the rest of our semester kind of getting down into the nitty-gritty of what all this means. All right, so as usual, if you have questions, problems, confusions, let me know. I've got office hours, and I'm also available to meet outside of office hours. And I hope that you are feeling good about I hope you're feeling good about the start to your fall semester. Thanks.